and it's rather strange. Right, bear with me. Let me just get on board with this on the laptop. Don't need that. Right, it's been a very, very busy weekend already down at the Andy Mechanic Workshop. Come on, live stream, show up on my channel, please. There we go. Super job. Right, adverts. And we're still waiting for somebody to come into the workshop. I'm here for the very first time ever, all on my own. What the hell? Oh, so many adverts on YouTube these days. There really is. It's just terrible. Right. Who have we got in the workshop? Let's have a look. Lauren's Garage. Hello, Andy from Texas. Good morning, Lauren. Hope all is well in Texas and you're doing well. Texas, isn't that the place where all the fuel comes from? That's where, what was it called? Landman was filmed. Is that right? Put me right, because I could be wrong. A very, very good series. I'm looking forward to the next series, to be fair. Pretty sure there'll be another one. Simon, morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Simon. Welcome back, matey. Yep, it is. Oh, fantastic. I thought it was, but, you know, memory's crap these days. No good at all. So, yesterday. What did Andy get up to yesterday? Well, last Saturday, we just rewound the clock a whole week. I went down to the timber yard and picked up the 100 millimeters by 50 mil, which is 4x2s in old money. 6 meter lengths, tannalized, so they're treated for outdoor use of these timbers from the timber yard. It's a long drive. We also picked up 2 more of the huge posts, which are 200 by 200 millimeters, 6 meters long. They're pretty heavy. Trevor, the tractor manager's fine there. They're to go at the end of the carport, sorry, side port, but the main purpose is to form part of the retaining wall, because our garden steps up, it slopes upwards all the way, and there's an old retaining wall that cuts through the back end of the side port. So we're going to redo all of that, and then on the top of the retaining wall, and then for the rest of the roofing that we've done will be the equivalent to Ben's workshop. There'll be another one there, another shed basically, and in that shed will be the sandblasting cabinet and all the air compressors and all the woodworking equipment, which will basically free up my workshop tremendously. We may even be able to get some of the quad bikes in there. Not entirely sure. If we do, that's only a temporary measure, because we're going to have a big shed down the bottom of the garden to store all the bikes. Eventually, that's years down the line, but it's coming together. So yesterday, I did all of the bands. That's the bits of wood that run the length of the side port, parallel to the workshop, that the steel then screws down to. So they're all up there, except for some probably about 500 mil, what would that be in old money? Say a couple of foot, you know, joining pieces, because the roof, it turns out to be about 12.5 meters, okay? And the lengths of timber are 6 meters each. So I started, put one load of timbers 6 meters from one end, one load of timbers 6 meters from the other end, and now I've got this little gap in the middle that I need to join up. So that's today's job. Not particularly hard. It shouldn't take over long. I've got a couple of other jobs to do. One is, and we'll get to it shortly, is to put together prototype #2 for Special Tool AMST003, which fits the 450 variant of the ATV. Wow, that was a mouthful, wasn't it? It looks pretty good. I'll be covering it in a workshop diary. In fact, message to Ed China. Ed, my sincere apologies. We just thought we'd call it workshop diaries, and then I realized why I'd called it workshop diaries, because I've been watching yours and that name was in the back of my mind. So Hope you don't mind. If you do, please reach out. It's not that you're going to watch this video. Reach out, let me know, and we'll have to change the name. I don't think you've got a copyright on it, so we should be all right. And it's, yeah, it is what it is, right? But I'll change it if need be. So I've got that to do. I've got the roof to do. And there's something else out. Oh, yes, the Honda. I picked up some little LED number plate lights. Not a fan of them, but it'll get the problem solved. Need to get it done today because Ben's going back to Auckland tonight and he's going to take it with him. Yes, it's going to go back to get a free trip back to Auckland and get delivered. So Ben's going to drop it off with tool girl Holly and her boyfriend. So that'll be great to get that out of the way. It'll free up the workshop a little bit. And I've done what I needed to do. Yes, I haven't done the MOT, sorry, the warrant of fitness videos on that bike. Not the end of the world. Got plenty of bikes. Cover it on one of those. Okay, what's going on? Simon, Stranger Things will be out. Oh, really? I'm looking forward to that. I hope it's not too flooded with CGI, but it's an awesome series. So thank you, Simon. I will keep my eyes open for that one. Been waiting for that for a while. Lauren's Garage. Hey, where did you get the oscilloscope and what is the brand you used in TPS testing? Oh, geez, that's a long time ago. So that would have been, pretty sure that would have been my Picoscope from Pico Technologies. You can Google that. They're based in the UK. And it would have been my non-automotive 2-channel scope. Pretty cheap. I think it was like a 2202 or something it was called, was the model. Not for automotive use. It was just about the cheapest oscilloscope that they made. Obviously, it works in conjunction with a laptop. That's all I could afford at the time. And then once we started to get into the MR2 videos, ultimately, to try and diagnose why it would only run for about 30 seconds. Again, this is a long time ago. Pico Technologies were watching those videos and they decided to help me out and they sent me a 4-channel scope, which is what I use. Oh, there goes the cigarette. Hang on. Jeez, Andy, what do you like? So that 4-channel scope is what I've been using ever since, and I do have it here. Just bear with me, and we'll just pull it off the shelf so you can have a look at it. It's actually obsolete now, but you can pick these up really good secondhand. Although, is that the best idea? Electronic equipment, you'd have to test it first. I'll get someone to test it, I think. But let me grab it, and I'll show you what I've got. I'm back. Sorry for leaving you. I'll turn you around. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay, here we go. So this is my scope. That's their website. It's down there. Look, you can get that on there now. Look. We'll turn it around. This is the one that I use in the workshop. I have another one in my ute that I use for field work, which isn't quite as comprehensively packed as this one is. So there you go. Look. A couple of amp clamps, high current, low current, obviously the pins, the clips and stuff. We've got some attenuators here, look, 2 of those. And the actual scope itself, which is brilliant, right, is a 4425. There you go, if you can see that. 4425 is my model. This has been superseded with a much, well, I say much better, a newer one. So people have been selling those off to buy the new ones, so you'll probably be able to get one of those reasonably cheap. There's also, look at this, still got CDs in here, look. You download the software for free online, which is really cool, and there's lots of information on their website as well about waveforms and known good waveforms and how to set the scope up for various tests. You've got all your leads, 1, 2, 3, there's the 4-channel leads, that's the USB cable to the laptop. And then there's some other bits and pieces in there, little probe and stuff there, look. So yeah, oh, that's for the for your high tension lead on spark plugs for getting your spark waveform. But yeah, ignition waveform, secondary waveform. Come on, Andy, use the right terminology. So it's pretty damn cool, actually. In fact, let me go back in there. What's going on there? I think because we're not sat level. There we are. It's very precisely made. So hopefully that answers your question. I'll put that away later on. But no, very, very cool. Now, while we're up, a little scout round. This is the primary sheave holder for the 450 ATV. That's the one that I finished last time around. It works really well, actually. The prototype, perfect. Just wanted a bit of refinement, tidying up. So we've increased the thickness across here. I was basically not too happy with that. If we go around here, we'll grab one of the 850 ones, the ROV ones. Here, look, because I've got loads of these now. Pick those up. So you can see this is the 850 one, and it's quite a lot more meaty. So we decided to bump that up a little bit and increase the outer diameter. These tabs, which I had welded on, are now, as required, folded into the piece. It's all one piece. They fold them up for us. And then you've got the little swingy arm bit. Now, the one thing I did spot, and I'll cover this later on a bit more in detail in the video, these slots are way too small. Hang on, it's getting upset with the orientation. It does that every time. So you're not going to get an M6 bolt through there, so I'll have to drill those out. Am I going to slot them again? I'm not, but I'll get them to increase. We'll probably do a prototype 3. I'll get them to increase the size of those slots. All the holes need to be drilled, by the way. These are just sort of, initial holes. They're not the final size. And then in here, we've got the two little sort of slugs. One of them is smaller than the other. I don't know. Can we tell from here? So one of them will be threaded on all 3 holes, and one of them will just be drilled 6mm. And then those will make up the hinge, like we did over there, like you see. But obviously a lot neater, the way that they've made them from it. They've kept the radius, and they've given some nice sort of roundy bits at the end as well, just to finish them off. So things are looking really good with that. Plus, of course, we've got the stuff on the handle, as we've also got out on the 850 ones as well. So pretty cool. Very happy with that. Right, back to the bench. Hopefully it's still working as the old live stream. It does get very upset, does my phone, the minute you start moving around. Oh, a bit grainy, aren't we? Is that grainy at your end as well, or is it just my end? It doesn't like moving around the workshop so much. It'll come back, I'm sure. So where do we get to? Done that one. So Lauren, hopefully that answers your question. Like I said, there's lots of, if you do get a picoscope, then the information that they've got on the guides and the setup information that they've got on their website is really, really useful. They've got a whole database of known good waveforms as well, various sensors, actuators, and ignition systems and so on, which is also very good. You can actually teach yourself an awful lot from their website. And once you've got and all of that's free. You could even do that without a scope, which is really cool. And then I think when you've been on their website, you'll realize just how good the services that Pico provide. I've never looked at a different brand scope, to be honest. I think they're just awesome. They just do the job. And I like the way that they interface with your laptop, so you can save all the files, and everything's really accessible. It's not in weird formats. Vijayant, good evening, Andy and crew. How is everyone doing? I'm all right. I was pretty knackered last night because it was really hot, very sunny, and I was up on the roof all day. So you can imagine a bit of, I won't say heat stroke, but it does take it out of you when you're just dripping in sweat all day long, which is not nice. Simon, must say, I was in Kinks with Ben's censored t-shirt. Yeah, a few mistakes were made on that bit of filming, I'll tell you that. But anyway, we've resolved that issue. We did some more filming yesterday, and there'll be some more filming today. So there'll be Workshop Diaries, in inverted commas, episode 2. I mean, it's going to go on. I think it's a great way of involving the viewers in what we do here, me, Ben, Mrs. Mechanic, you know, on stuff that we're not making videos on, but you know, full length videos, but we are doing stuff, you know, and it's great for you guys to see that. And it also, it bumps up the content on the channel, because more often than not, and I'm sure a lot of creators are like this, from our sort of perspective as mechanics and so on, where you've got a job to do, and you know, with the best will in the world, you want to take the viewers on the journey, but you've only got a certain amount of time. And when you're filming something properly and doing a how-to video, it greatly increases the repair time. And I only get weekends at home, so it makes it quite difficult to accommodate that, and which I feel really bad for, because sometimes I go, I haven't got time to make a video, I just need to get it fixed. You know, so doing it that way around, where you just see bits of the repair, it's still informative, and it's still entertaining as well, I think, and it keeps you on the train, you know, the stuff that's going on, keeps you up to date. So Mrs. Mechanic took about 3 weeks to edit, 2 or 3 weeks to edit that last one, the first one. I think now, and the main reason for that was all the blurring out and stuff, which was a nightmare. She's very good at it now, but it was a real nightmare. So if we can try and avoid having to blur things out, it improves the quality of the video, right? And it makes Mrs. Mechanic's life a lot easier. So also, thank you very much, Simon and Connor, for your comments on Mrs. Mechanic's editing abilities. Yes, she is better than me. I tend to be very linear on my editing. It's always done the same. I only have a certain amount of time to get it done. You know, for example, an hour-long video will take me about 2.5 to 3 hours to edit up. The video that went out, the first Workshop Diaries video that went out, was about an hour long, and it took a lot longer for Mrs. Mechanic to edit up, partly because of the graying out stuff, but also just she likes to put lots of graphics and stuff in, and all that takes a lot of time, which I don't have. So it's great that she's taken on the editing of the Workshop Diaries. I'm very happy with that. She does all her editing and then renders it all up, and then I get the copy, and then I put on the Andy Mechanic stuff. You may have noticed that I didn't put the intro video in there. That won't be in. I don't mind the credits one at the end, but we're just trying to keep it more what we do, you know. So there might be she might put together a different intro, who knows, for the Workshop Diaries. Wow, that's grainy. Is it really grainy at your end? I've got a really grainy picture. Well done, internet. Dum 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 dum. Oh, hang on, we're jumping around. Right, Connor K, morning Andy and crew. The video that Mrs. Mechanic filmed and edited was great. Well done. Cool. Thank you, Connor. We really weren't sure how it was going to be received. Looks like it's definitely a go on those. They're a lot easier for us to film as well, because there's no script. It's just whatever we're doing that weekend. When Ben's down, we normally just do it when Ben comes down, because you know, more characters, and that's one of the main reasons for doing those videos, is it's not just me. You know, you get to learn all about Ben and meet Ben and see what he gets up to, and his repair techniques, and the stuff Mrs. Mechanic ends up doing, because she does a lot of stuff, you know. Especially when we're fabricating, doing batches of things. It's pretty cool. And there's more about that on her channel. She has a few videos from a while ago when we're making batches of, you know, doing machining and drilling and all that kind of stuff of hundreds of components, which, you know, can be quite boring if you do too much filming of it, but it's actually quite nice just to show a bit of it, right? So thank you, Connor. Simon, got a day of watching CAN data on the scope on Mrs. Rawls' car next week. Has very intermittent fault on the CAN bus. Watch it not play up when I need it to. I agree with you. Those kind of, and they're very frustrating for customers as well. I mean, luckily it's, you know, it's your wife, but when it's a customer, sometimes they don't really understand how hard it is sometimes to track down an intermittent fault. If you can't replicate the fault, it becomes really difficult. And all you can sort of do is start to think, well, it could be this. Let's use logic. It might be this. Let's check that. Maybe it's a connection or something. We'll maybe replace that or fix it, and then see how you get on. Unfortunately, you sometimes end up firing the parts cannon because you don't, A, because it's possibly cheaper, and B, because of labor content when it's a customer's vehicle. But B, you just can't find the faults. You just think, well, it most likely is this, and I don't like those ones, but they come in, don't they? Lauren's Garage, thank you, no problem, matey. Purple Monkey, nice if you are. Grainy. Sorry, mine's improved a little bit. Oh, and talking about internets, somebody mentioned that the weather, on one of the comments, the weather doesn't affect our internet. We don't have fiber. Our internet here comes through the sky. We have what's called Vodafone rural broadband. So it's a bit like the internet that goes to your phone. In fact, it's exactly the same as the internet that goes to your phone. It's data, they call it. And when it does get heavy clouds and rainy and stormy, our internet just basically gives up. So the weather does affect our internet big time. Unfortunately, I wish it didn't. I also heard that we've got fiber coming to the village in about 18 months' time. And I've also heard a lot of people in New Zealand are turning away from fiber now because the speeds are becoming atrocious because so many people are on it. So you just can't win. I might have to have another... Apologies. Ben's working on his patrol under the carport. Is doing the bushes on the front suspension ready for the warrant. And on the Workshop Diaries episode 2, you'll find out what happened to Ben when he was coming down from Auckland on Friday night. Interesting stuff. Okay, where do we get to? Right, Mike Adams. Oh, I'm late. That's fine. I was nearly late this morning. Busy, but checking in for a few. Good man, Mike. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the workshop. It's good to have you around, mate. Lauren's Garage, a little grainy, but clear enough. Cool. We'll work through it. Mine has improved again. Mine's actually not bad at all at this end. So hopefully we're all right. Right, we'll have this cigarette and then we'll take a look at the pie because it's a brand new pie from Wild Bean Cafe. Brand new, just released. So we get to test it, see what it's like. Mrs. Mechanic has had one and she actually likes it. There's not many pies that she likes. She liked it. So that's good. Vijayant, Andy, if you can please do a drill bit sharpening video, step by step, please, when you have time. Thank you. The only one that's been done so far was with using a drill doctor, which I purchased a few years ago. It's actually sat in the drawer down there. I don't use it anymore. Maybe we should do a raffle and let somebody win it. Because the main reason, not that it was a problem, it did work, but it was very aggressive and on the drill bits and a very rough cut. You could get a much nicer finish on the cutting edge of the drill on a bench grinder if you know what angles to do. I'm no expert, and probably about 1 in 6 drill bits I have to go back and resharpen it because I've got the angles wrong. So I think as time goes on with my eyesight depreciating, and that's what happens when you get old. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, it really is. I'm not as successful as I used to be sharpening them manually. So who knows? Maybe the drill doctor will come out in the future. The other benefit is Mrs. Mechanic can sharpen them up with the drill doctor. That's what she did when we first got it. She just sat there and sharpened on the drill bits, which was great. So maybe Vijayant, I'll put it on the list of many, many videos to make in the future for you. Jim K, hello, good morning, Jim. Welcome back, mate. Again, apologies on behalf of Spark New Zealand for the really poor phone reception quality we have here. We had a conversation earlier in the week, if not a couple, and they're constantly dropping out. I mean, I was driving at the time, fair enough, but you know, it was really bad. Now, Roger Heaps, good morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Roger. And welcome back to the workshop. And hello to Invercargill. Hope everybody's okay down there. You've recovered from the Burt Munro. Oh, hang on. There's somebody at the door. Bear with me. Hang on a minute. Oh. Knock, knock, knock. Who have we got?
We need a big cracking bar, please, for Ben.
Oh, I'm on a live stream. Big cracking bar.
Well, he's sat, can't do anything.
Oh, hang on then. Hang on then. Hang on then. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Oh, the finger's down here. So that one. Try that. Yeah, it's a bit rubby. Okay. Apologies, Ben needed some tools. Right, I'm back. Okay, where do we get to? Where do we get to? Yes, so apologies I couldn't make it to the bird. But you all know about that. Jim Haynes, late to the party. Had to do some work for the racing deal. Hey, racing has to come first, right? Very important. Incidentally, and I can talk about this because it's been on Facebook. The company I work for entered into a 24-hour farm bike endurance race. Wow, right up my alley. That would have been absolutely brilliant. They had 2 teams of 4 riders, and during the day they rode for 15 minutes, swap riders, another 15 minutes, swap riders, and so on. And on a night, that was then pushed out to an hour. And the reasoning behind that, it would give the riders that weren't riding a 3-hour kip before they were back in the saddle again. I've seen there's some photos on Facebook about it. It looked brilliant. Unfortunately, for some unknown reason, I mean, I have a full motorcycle license. I've been riding pretty much all my life, reasonably experienced. And there were a rider short, I found out on the Thursday. The ride started on the Friday night, I think it was. I never got invited. I never got asked if I'd like to participate, which was I don't know. That didn't sound good. You all right, Ben?
It's fucking tight.
Thanks, son. This is a live stream, not allowed to swear.
Yeah, I'm not on the live stream, I'm in that room.
Anyway, so cigarettes got out. I wasn't there. I very nearly thought about cracking out my old ultimate farm bike, take the top box off, and enter on my own. 24 hours non-stop riding. That'd have been fun, wouldn't it? Could I have done it? I wouldn't have won. Could I ride a motorcycle for 24 hours non-stop? I reckon I could. I've driven a car for 23 hours non-stop, other than stopping for fuel. So I'm pretty sure I'd have given it a damn good go. But hey, that would have rocked the boat, especially if I'd come further up the rankings than the teams on a different brand bike as well. But hey, so I'm going to make some inquiries as to why I wasn't asked. It seems a bit odd. Anyway, now then, Simon, all I need is that few seconds to see if the short to power, a module goofing up, or short to ground. That's right, something's going to be pulling that can down probably. And yeah, if you can spot it, you might have a good idea where it is. Ivan's brilliant at that kind of stuff. I'll never be anywhere near as good as Ivan is with those kind of diagnostics, to be fair. Connor K, I think the format of Mrs. M's video will attract a wider audience because it includes the tech of fabrication workshops, interaction with different people, and creative graphics. I hope so. I hope so, because we're doing that push now to the 100,000 subs. I really want to get my plaque, and I'm hoping we get that this year. It'd be really cool if we hit that milestone. Really cool. Mike Adams, I'm curious, can you overdo it with Octane Booster in unoiled carbureted engine? I'm pretty sure you can. I came across I'll be very careful what I say, but I came across a twin cylinder ROV, 1000cc, and there was two of them, and they both engines suffered the same failure. And when they were stripped down, the combustion chambers on both engines were bright orange. Now the vehicle should have been run on 98 octane fuel, but anyway, the customer elected to run it on 91 octane fuel and use an octane booster. I think the problem was that they didn't really mix the octane booster with the fuel to the correct ratio. They just topped the tank up and poured some more in. So it was running, much higher concentrations of octane booster than what it should have been. I don't know whether the actual failure related to the use of octane booster, but both engines had exactly the same failure, which sort of, was it because they were running on 91? Was it because they were running too much octane booster? I don't know, but it wasn't good for the engine, that's for sure. It really wasn't. Bright orange. It was almost like that road marking spray paint, that luminous orange. Most bizarre. So I don't know. Anybody else got? I mean, I don't use octane boosters, so maybe somebody else out there has got a bit more, experience on that, as to whether it could really cause a problem. John Nuttall, place two nuts together side by side, sharpen the drill to fit the gap. To get your angles right. That's a good one. I like that. I like that a lot. I'll remember that. Thank you, John. For Giants, thank you, John Nuttall. There you go. Lauren's Garage. Burt Monroe, world's fastest Indian. Great story. Never too old to go fast. He was a top bloke. He really was, and very, very much, waved the flag. Flew the flag for New Zealand. Real character, and the whole Burt Monroe event that occurs in Invercargill that lasts 5 days is all because it's in celebration of his efforts, of what he achieved in his shed. Made his own pistons. It's great. Mike Adams. Say, for instance, one bottle good for 20 gallons initially added on fill-up. Use half a tank, but add another full bottle on refill from half a tank. Pretty much exactly what was going on. I think you need to be a bit more accurate. And unfortunately, the vehicles, they had a fuel gauge, but not really accurate enough for calculating the amount of octane booster that was required. And I don't think the people that were operating, which were employees, were really trained on exactly what needed to be done, and the importance of getting it right. But it could just have been, the concentration may not have been the reason for the failure. I don't know. But it shouldn't have used octane booster. It should have had the 98 fuel. That's the bottom line. Simon. Does Ben need to some heat on those bolts? Ben's not going anywhere near his patrol with any kind of open flame, that's for sure, because he's got a slight leak from his petrol tank. So he's a bit concerned. But hey, if you can't get the bolts undone, it'll stay as it is. Or I'll get involved later on, probably. Mike Adams. For the record, if you're not swearing when working on a vehicle, you're not working on a vehicle. I know what it's like. It's just difficult because YouTube can get really grumpy sometimes. Jim Haynes. Could be deposits from whatever chemicals the fuel additive is made from. It must be something, because it wouldn't normally be bright orange. It's got to be something that's in that additive that's caused that to happen. And it was really bad. There was a lot of it. A hell of a lot of it, to be fair. Okay, so what else have we got for you? Yes, I know what we've got for you. I won't move the camera. I'm going to leave the camera where it is because we know what happens. In fact, I will have to move the camera. Let's do the pie, and then we'll segue across to the next thing. Okay, so this is a world first. This is a new flavoured pie from the Wild Bean Cafe. Now that's part of the BP group, petrol station group here in New Zealand. Here it comes. Look at that. So this is the kiwi breakfast pie. Wow. Structurally, it looks amazing. Absolutely rock solid. So no problems with that. So in here, in fact, I took a photo. Just bear with me. I even took a photo for you. So just have to hang on a second while I find it. Here we go. There, look. Can you see that? That's the kiwi big breakfast pie. Nice. And it's got in it egg, mushrooms, bacon, Roger will be very happy, sausage, and relish sauce. So I'm very much looking forward to that. It looks like a brilliant one. It's only available for a limited time only. So if it turns out to be really good, you'll need to get down there and buy one if you live in New Zealand. And that's Wild Bean Cafe at the BP stores. Not a sponsor, but they could be. Not really. Okay, so let's turn it around and we'll get this in the pie warmer. 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, I'm going to try and go slowly so we don't lose or go suddenly really grainy again. It doesn't always happen, does it? You know, looks fantastic. Right. Obligatory 23 minutes. Good luck, pie. Bom, 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 bom. Okay, I didn't bring those LED lights into the work, sorry. Down here, we now have the 3 handles for Priscilla, the pillar drill. So this handle here, it came off Sid, which is right in the corner over there, behind the big pillar, the yellow one at the back. So I've got to reinstate that and fit those. And then Priscilla is complete. Wow. It's a good little drill. It really is. It's very nice. It's a pleasure to be given that. It really is. So thank you again. Whoever it was, I forgot their name, as always. Oh, and look at this. Now, there's more on this. It's what brand? A Zito rechargeable angle grinder. Now, this came in a kit where it came with a charger and a battery, and it even came with a grinding disc as well. Pretty damn cool. So Ben bought me this. Nice lad. Thank you, Ben. He says, oh, do you need another one? They're on special at the moment. I'll get you one. So we've got that, but there's more on that on Workshop Diaries too. Okay. And I think that is probably about it. Oh, there's the charger, look. That's the charger it came with. So I've charged the battery up ready. That'd be super helpful because I'll be able to have one with a flap disc, probably that one, just for quick cleanups, and then my main Makita one with the slit disc in it for cutting and stuffs. So yes, it's got a lot of features, and we cover all the features in that video. Boom, there we go. Right, have we gone grainy? We have gone grainy. Sorry, chaps. Apologies on behalf of the internet. It'll come back. We know it'll come back. It's bound to come back. So we'll need that later on, won't we? Okay. Where do we get to? Lauren's Garage. What does a limit breakfast pie have in it? A limit breakfast pie? I don't know. A limit. That's a Wild Bean Cafe breakfast pie. I never heard of a limit breakfast pie. Mike Adams, sorry to leave so soon, but chores are calling me and the clock is still spinning. Have a good, safe week, friends. Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate your time joining us. And have a good day. Don't work too hard. Mark E. Found. Sounds good. Thank you. Roger Heaps. I was thinking it was the other limited time pie. Oh, they are doing lol. What's that one? No idea. Maybe you've got different ones down there. Lauren's Garage sounds like something like a Tex-Mex, but instead of relish would have been salsa. Possibly. Yeah, you could be right there. Lauren's Garage, not limit kiwi. There we go. Okay. Simon, lol. Them 3.5mm drill bits are good go for pilots when drilling bolts out. Get the drill out, Ben. Ooh, I don't think he has any spare bolts. And it does sound like he's making progress now. Did he get the bolt out, Ben?
Of course I did.
He has. Good lad. He's very strong, is Ben. Doesn't let things often defeat him, to be fair. Wade, howdy Andy and crew. Joined late as I was watching the spouse's vendor booth. Oh, wow, okay. Simon, all good man. Absolutely. He's a top bloke. He really is. Does a good job. So, for those that have just joined us, that is a Wild Bean Cafe Kiwi Big Breakfast. I think it was called Big Breakfast. I did take another picture actually. Yes, big breakfast pie. Doesn't look any bigger than a standard pie, to be fair, so I'm not too sure how they get away with that one. Yes. Now you see, on the other label, it gives something slightly different. That's the one that's actually in the pie warmer itself. And it says it includes ham. Whereas the other one, the other description, no ham. So we'll find out if it's got ham in there. Ham, bacon, and carbonossi sausage. Carbonossi. Whatever that is. Sounds Italian. So that, yeah, there we go. So today, for those that have just joined us, today I have got to finish the side port as regards the timber work. There's a dragonfly, by the way, in the workshop, if you can hear that. He's been in here since yesterday. I've tried to get him out. He just likes the lights. He won't fit in the fly killing machine, unfortunately. He's too big for that, but I don't know. Hopefully he'll stay out of our way. So I'll get that done. That'll take me probably all morning to finish that. Probably actually till just after lunch without having a live stream. And then I've got the prototype 2 to do of the 450 primary sheave clamp to make sure that all the dimensions are correct from the drawings and that it works correctly and all the little teeth line up when you go around the sheave. Then I've got the LED lights to fit to the bike for the number plate, which is a pretty simple job. I'll do a little bit of filming on that probably. And then we've got to load that into Ben's ute, pack up the workshop. Obviously I'm going to help Ben with his patrol. Potentially he'll need to use the press as well, which is currently hidden. And then tomorrow morning I have to drive up to Auckland, through Auckland, and all the way up to a little village called Kaiwaka, which is about an hour and a half's drive, well, depending on the traffic, an hour to an hour and a half's drive north of Auckland. So that's going to be 4 to 4.5 hours drive time. If the prototype 2 needs any modifications, I'll swing by the laser cut place and have a chat with them to get those modifications made so they can cut me prototype 3 that I can pick up on Friday. So I go to Kaiwaka, I've got to visit a motorcycle shop there and then go up to a place called Whangarei on the east coast of the North Island, a bit further up. Staying there that night, so I'll have done that's another hour and a half's driving, so it's a long way up there. And then another motorcycle shop to visit on the Tuesday morning, and then I'll drive all the way up to a little fishing village called what's it called? It's a funny name. I forget. It'll come to me. Not Mangawai. No, forgotten. Sorry. So I'm staying there. So it'll be fish and chips for tea that night, no doubt. And then another half an hour, 40 minutes drive to Kaitaia, which is the last sort of town north on the North Island. We went through Kaitaia actually on the monkey bike trip, and we called in at Dave's shop, which is on the videos on Mrs. Mechanics channel. So I'll be up there to see Dave. I'm up there pretty much all day. I'll be staying in Kaitaia that night, which will be the Wednesday, and then Thursday morning I've got to drive all the way down back to Auckland, which is a very long drive. That'll take nearly all day to get down there. Staying in Auckland the Thursday night, and then Friday morning I'm leaving pretty early. I've got another motorcycle shop to go and visit on my way home, a place called Natia, which I'll be there for about 3 hours, and then I get to do the last 2 hours, 2.25 hours drive home. So that, and I've also got I've got an online meeting embedded in all that as well. So I've got to stop somewhere at the side of the road where there's some internet, which won't be the easiest task. Then I'll get home probably about tea time Friday, so I shouldn't be too late home, hopefully. And then next weekend, I'm not entirely sure what we're doing. I can't do any more to the sideport. We'll have run out of jobs to do on that. Although I could make a start on the retaining wall, which is going to be fun because I've got to dig loads of garden out with Trevor the tractor and make some big mounds of soil. And we might just be able to afford the concrete, the builder's mix and the cement. So maybe I'll have to go and get that on the Saturday morning. We'll see. We'll see how things pan out, and we'll see what the weather's going to be like as well. I was planning more to do the retaining wall once the roof's on, and then that way the concreting's all protected and we can work out of the weather should it start to rain, which is sort of the sensible way of doing it. As regards the tin for the roof, I've got to measure that up. I reckon it's going to cost about $3,500. I don't have $3,500 at the moment. I spent all my pocket money on the timber, which was another $2,000. So yeah, things do stack up. So I have to pace myself, as we all do when it comes to those kind of expenses. That's not any small change, is it really? So that's what I'll be doing for the next week at least. There won't be a live stream next weekend, although we might do a little bit of filming, depending on what we're up to. And the following week, I'm working from home, based at home, but doing visits to motorcycle shops on daily trips. So I'll be sleeping at home, but I'll be out during the day. So there's lots going on. I've got to keep the momentum going of all the visits I have to do. I'm running about 3 to 4 weeks behind schedule already this year. I've got to get all the North Island ones done before I can drop down into the South Island on the big trip. That usually takes about 3 weeks to do that one. And then I've got to fly, as soon as that's finished, I've got to fly over to Sydney for a week. We're doing a competition for technicians over there for Australia and New Zealand, which is really cool. They do that every 2 years. This is the first one post-COVID, so it's great to get it back up and running again. And we've got a couple of technicians from New Zealand going across, which would be great to see how they get on. And the winner of that event then goes to Japan for the global competition, which is awesome. And if one of the New Zealand lads wins the Oceania competition, I get to go to Japan and I get to go around the factory, which will be great. Very much looking forward to that. Sorry, I've just jumped the comments. I'll come to that in a minute. Now then, Wade Mayer. Howdy, Andy and crew. Joined late as I was watching the spouse. Oh, sorry, done that one, mate. Wait, apologies, matey. Simon, good man. Simon, stop spending. You need a Unimog. I also need a side port. A Unimog would fit under the side port. Maybe that was designed. Who knows? We'll find out. One day we'll find out. But you're quite right. I really do want a Unimog. At the moment, at this point in time, it's on the list. I can't action it at the moment. Not yet. John Nuttall, Thursday night, try Apro Food and Wine. Okay. I will do that. So that will be in Thursday night. I'm back in Auckland. So is it in Auckland? Or is it in Kaitaia? Because that's Wednesday night. I will take a picture. Boom. There we go. I have that in my phone stored forever. Mark E. Found. Is the side port big enough for a Unimog, I wonder? It actually is. You could quite comfortably fit a U1300 in there without any worries. That's the model that the New Zealand Army use and often come up for sale at Turner's auctions. So yes, it would definitely fit under there. It would be quite interesting getting it in there though, actually. Access would be difficult. Might need a bigger shed. Okay. Lauren's Garage. Could you do a small amount of video of each location, kind of like a documentary of the bike shops of New Zealand? Unfortunately not. I am forbidden, and it's an agreement that's made, forbidden to do any filming of a particular brand of motorcycle, and there will be many of those motorcycles at each of those dealerships. So I can't. It would be great to do that. One thing I've been thinking about for a very long time, and it's probably never going to happen, but as a result of my line of work, I stay in many hotels around New Zealand, and I was thinking, oh, maybe a secondary channel on hotel reviews, because it wouldn't cost me anything at all, because I'm there anyway, and it would give me something to do on an evening where we can have a look around the room and pick fault and mention the good bits. And I'm pretty sure that would do really well, because lots of people come to New Zealand, and it's great to know where to stay. There's quite a few dodgy places around which you don't want to stay at, and they're not necessarily the cheapest ones either, to be fair. There's just flea pits. There's quite a few around, and to give some advice to people where not to stay would be quite useful, I think, because you can soon spend the money and have a pretty bad experience of New Zealand's hotels. There's some really good ones out there which are not that expensive either. So, the ones that do good, they should get more customers. So watch this space. Who knows? It might happen. It may be that I just let Mrs. Mechanic do it. She could set up another channel and she could edit them up, and away you go. But who knows? Now, Mark E. Found. I see forward planning. Yes, there's lots of forward planning going on down here. John Nuttall, it's Auckland. Say you know me, lol. Okay, I'll do that. I will Google it and I will go there. John Nuttall, Honda John. Yes, Honda John. I will say Honda John sent me, and we'll see what they say. One Little Eddie and Co. That's Mrs. Mechanic, for those that don't know. One Little Lady and Co. That's her channel, her YouTube channel. She's given me a massive thumbs down to the Unimog purchase, but unfortunately, Benjamin is on my side. He knows I need a Unimog. He remembers the Unimog very well that we had in the UK. Had a lot of fun in that machine. Simon, One Little Lady and Co. I'll stop egging Andy on then. You've been told off. Simon wrote pie ratings for the hotel. Pie ratings for your hotel. Oh, pie ratings for the hotel you're in. That could work. There's always a pie. In fact, you're never that far away from a pie here in New Zealand, so maybe, who knows? I'm trying to cut down on the number of pies that I eat for obvious reasons, because there's more Andy Mechanic than there used to be, unfortunately. Now, I'm not sure how long this live stream is going to be. Once Ben's got the first hockey stick out, because he's changing the bushes, then he's going to want to use the press. And he's going to be waiting. He's doing a lot of hammering. You're doing a lot of hammering there, Ben?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the hockey stick out.
Ah, okay. Good stuff. So, Ben's been very busy. Yesterday, he, and the previous weekend that he was down, he was working on his exhaust on his patrol. The silencer, the muffler they call it in New Zealand, was rotted out, and he had to replace it. He's prepping the vehicle ready for a warrant of fitness, so he can get it on the road, because he needs transport. His Fred Dibner truck, the Ford Courier Ute, is showing signs of age. It's a 4-cylinder petrol, and one of the cylinders has decided it doesn't want a spark plug anymore. No, the threads are pretty much flogged out on one of the cylinders, so it's going to be a head-off job and get it, time cert or whatever put in there. Probably do all four at the same time. And Ben says, "Oh, well, I've got the engine now. We could do a full engine rebuild," which we can. We can do that. We can, get the crank ground, put some new shells in it, get it rebored, new pistons and rings, blah blah blah. Do all that, and maybe pop out all the valves, and he can relap the valves or replace whatever valves need to be replaced. A big job, which means the Patrol, his other vehicle, needs to be good to go and reliable as well. So a bit of work involved with that. So he did some mud guards for the tray, for the back axle, because he has wider tyres on it now. And the tread was sticking out of the tray, so that would be a warrant fail. So he's made some mudguard extensions and stuff. You'll have seen that actually on the Workshop Diaries 1. So they're all finished. He's finished the exhaust yesterday, and now he's just doing these bushes. And I think once the bushes are done, I think he's good to go. He's got a few minor oil leaks, but nothing major. It has to be a proper drip to be a warrant fail, so I think he'd be all right. Jim Haynes. I would say most motorcycle dealers in North America are multi-brand dealers. They are in Australia. I only see a few that are, let's say, Honda only. How it is there. Honda, and we can talk about this, Honda are very much a single brand dealership through their franchise agreements. There's only recently have they allowed one dealer in Wellington to sell Honda alongside other brand motorcycles. That was a major change in Honda New Zealand's Blue Wing Honda, I think they're called, requirements. They prior to that, categorically, it was not allowed to happen. You were either a Honda dealer and a Honda dealer only, or not a Honda dealer. But this dealership in Wellington has managed to get it over the line. Potentially there'll be a lot of sales because of the dealership. They've got one in Auckland as well. They're very well known. They sell a lot of bikes, so you can see the advantages to Honda by being on board. But it is a major shift in their plans, and I don't know what it's like around the rest of the world, but I know in Australia there's a lot of multi-franchise dealerships. I don't know if that includes Honda or not. If they're amongst the ranks of other brands in the same building. I'd have to do some research on that. Mikey found, get Mrs. Mechanic a little Jimny. Mrs. Mechanic has a little Jimny. She does. Generation 4. We use that on the monkey bike ride, so you'll see that in action as those episodes go out, when we hit the South Island especially. That little Jimny was towing our adventure trailer that we built. Again, there's videos on my channel of the whole construction of that trailer from start to finish, which is pretty awesome actually. There's a lot of information in that. I was very pleased that we got those videos done. And that trailer performed brilliantly, as did the Jeep. The trailer loaded weighed nearly a ton, 1,000 kilograms. And that little Jimny dragged it all the way up to the top, Cape Yang, at the top of the North Island, with the motorcycle on board as well, because it had a rack for the motorcycle and a pod on it. And then down all the tracks that Mrs. Mechanic rode the bike on, down to Wellington, and all the way down through the South Island, down to Bluff, and then all the way home again back to Taupo. So it covered nearly 6,000 kilometers with that trailer on the back, and on the off-road sections, it performed brilliantly. We asked an awful lot of that little Jeep. We went through some pretty deep river crossings, which were not flat by any means. There was big boulders in there. We had no winch. We had no additional recovery available, and it never, ever let us down. It did a wonderful job. Very, very impressed with it. If it had been one of the old SJ413s, it would not have made it through those river crossings. It was only that traction control system that the Gen 4's got that really got us through, to be honest. It really helped. Not a fan of electronics, but man, it made all the difference of us getting through that river or not getting through the river. So top little Jeeps, they really are. I use Jeep generically, obviously. Some Jeep owners get very offended when you call other vehicles Jeeps, but it's a Suzuki Jeep, that's what it is. Right, the pie's ready. We'll give it a minute just to cool off a little bit. Purple Monkey, as before. In UK, lots of single brand shops, plus usually sell multi-brand second-hand bikes. Yeah, second-hand's never an issue. It's only when it's new that the restrictions come in. And you're right, because I used to deal with a company called Allen Mountain Motorcycles in York. They were a Honda dealer. And then there was Honda City. They were Honda only. So yes, back in the day when I lived in the UK, they were standalone Honda dealerships, not multi-franchise. So times are changing. There's, you know, as margins dwindle on the sale of new bikes, and overheads go up, which they only ever do. You know, the dealerships have to gain from the economies of scale. They realistically have to have more than one brand. And sometimes, you know, if they're smart, other brands can offer slightly different models that are more suitable for what the customer wants. And you can also have problems with supply. You know, we've seen that through COVID. And if you've got multi-franchise, at least you've got supply, or what they found was they had supply of some brands, but not all brands, all of the time. You know, depending on when the ships came in. So it helped to keep sales going, which was important to them. It really was. But yeah, you know, I'm not in charge of that kind of stuff, so it's not for me to intervene at all. But I can see the trend. I can see what's happening, and with Honda making that move now, they've sort of accepted it as well. To be honest, it's just the way it's going to be. And Australia did it like 10 years ago. I'm not too sure on Honda though. Now then, Simon, you can get kits to do it with the head on. Oh, okay. I've used them and worked very well. The van went from Tyneside to Morocco and back. Holy crap, Morocco's a long way. I drove a little Suzuki Jeep down to Gibraltar and back with a trailer many years ago when I was a student. And we had a great time, actually, me and Mrs. Mechanic. And Ben hadn't been born at that time. He was still fermenting and growing, you know. But the plan was to go to Morocco, but we ran out of time and ran out of money. So we turned round at Gibraltar. But it was still an awesome trip, really was. So Morocco, I've done that journey pretty much, and it's a very long way. So I'll look into that. That's a possibility. Thanks, Simon. Simon, it's still going now. The guy over the road owns it. Wow, good man. Obviously a very professional mechanic installed that. John Nuttall, Andy, if you do go, say you know me, Honda John. Liam Neeson. I will. I'll do that. Let me just... I'll take another picture. What the hell? That was funny. There we go. Lauren's Garage. I guess that in the States, you can do things differently, being that most are represented. And these just dealerships or any custom shop? Are these just dealerships or any custom shops? No, the ones that I visit are a particular brand dealership. Can't mention the name, obviously. But yes, there's about 40 of them around New Zealand, and I have to cover all of them. I have to visit all of them twice a year, which is a big ask. New Zealand, although it's not a particularly big country, it's quite a long country, which means, you know, with the two islands, so it means that there's a lot of driving to get around. Some people say, well, why don't you fly? Well, I do fly sometimes, but when I'm doing, so I'd fly out to a particular dealership if I was helping with diagnostics or doing training. But when it's dealer visits and you're just basically going to the next town, to the next town, to the next town, I find it for the South Island certainly easier just to drive down, because Wellington's like 5 hours away from where I live. Get on the ferry, and I've got my ute, I've got all my tools, I've got everything I need, and I just go off and visit all the dealers in the South Island. There's about 14 of them down there from memory, I think. And then drive home. So I'm away for about 3 weeks doing that, which it's a bit of an adventure. It's a bit of an ask because I'm not in the workshop and I can't get on my own jobs. But to me, it's by far the most cost efficient and time efficient way of doing it. If I was to fly down, then I'm only going to fly down and be there for a week and then fly home for the weekend. And flying home means flying back to Auckland and then driving back down to Taupo, which is about 3.5 hours drive time each way. So it adds, I did a calculation, and it actually, there's only about 100 kilometers difference whether I fly or drive if I break it down to 3 separate weeks of trips in the South Island flying down. Sounds a bit weird, but when you see it on a spreadsheet, it all makes sense. But it's cheaper, and it's definitely more time efficient, without a doubt. You know, you get more time with the dealers. You're not, you know, when you've got flights to worry about, and flights can get delayed as well, but you've got deadlines. You've got to be at the airport for this time. So I've got 6 deadlines to meet during the trip if I fly to, you know, visiting all the dealers. Whereas if I drive down, I've only got 2 ferries. So 2 deadlines. So it just makes life a lot easier, a lot more flexible, and I can shuffle the whole schedule around a lot easier. If for some reason I have to, you know, abort a visit to a particular dealership, say while I head south in the South Island, I can then link them in when I'm heading back north, just to make sure that I get to go and see them. So there's lots of benefits, but sometimes I don't get the liberty to decide how I do the visits. But most of the time, I do. Vijayans, how long do you spend at each dealership? I aim to spend about 3 hours. In reality, and that was really the guideline. And when I first started this role, I was able to do, depending on the geography, you know, how far apart the dealerships were, there was quite a few instances where I could do 2 visits in a day. Now, with the speed limit reductions here in New Zealand, the quality of the roads, the extra work that I have to do when I'm on site, often I'll go over the 3 hours, and it's just not possible to do 2 visits in one day. There's still a couple of places that I can do that, but in general, that's reduced. And I think it's very important to stay at the dealership till I've got everything done, and then it's like a clean slate until I come back down again in a few months' time. I hate to have to rush, and I hate to have to say, hey, look, you know, because often you've been asked questions, and if you're flying out, it's like, I have to go. I'm really sorry. I have to leave right now and get to the airport. I can't help you anymore. And that's hard. It really is hard, because they look forward to me going down to see them. Some dealers will have a vehicle there that they want some diagnostic assistance with as well, which takes extra time over and above the normal visit time as well. And if I'm just driving down, I don't mind working late into the night. We could stay in the workshop till 8, 9 o'clock at night if need be to help them out. We'll just order a pizza in and we'll just do what we can. But when I'm to a much tighter schedule, when I fly down, those kind of things are not an option. Sometimes, especially in the South Island, the owner of the business will often do trips on an evening to farms to collect bikes that need servicing or deliver bikes and so on. And often I'll just join them for the evening, and we'll go off in their ute with the trailer, go and deliver some bikes and pick some more up, call in at a pub and have some tea, and then go back to the workshop. And we usually get back about 11, sometimes even midnight. So yes, very long days, but it's that contact, building that working relationship with the owner of the business is really important. Plus, I get to go to farms and get to go into parts of New Zealand that I would never normally get to go into. So, and we have a lot more time then to talk in the car when we're driving, you know, when we're being driven to the farms and things. It's really good, actually, really, really good. I enjoy it. It never becomes a chore. You know, it's interesting what you get to talk about and find out as well, to be fair. Purple Monkey, do you find visits a joy or a chore? Well, I think I've covered that in that last discussion. Sure, there's always going to be one or two you go, oh man, really, you know. But very much in the main, I enjoy the visits. I'm very well received wherever I go. You know, people are always very helpful, and they're glad to see me. And they often, you know, I need to gather information and stuff while I'm there for my reports and things, and they're always very forthcoming with that. So it's nice, and most of them very proactive. One of the biggest things in recent years is pre-delivery inspection. That's when they get a new motorcycle and they've got to assemble the bike to manufacturer's standards because it's going to go on the road. If it's a road bike, it's really important. And then they've got to do this PDI. And the PDI is lots of checks on that vehicle before it goes on the road. That includes setting, there's lots of torque settings to apply to various fasteners on the bike, whether it's handlebar clamps or the axles that hold the wheels in, calipers, the caliper bolts, all that kind of stuff have all got to be torqued up correctly. So it's very important that those processes and procedures are not just followed, but they're also recorded as well. And all the information is available to be reviewed, audited, I think is the word we would use. And if there are any failings found, I have to address those. And sometimes it's not an easy thing to address. Some dealers, not current dealers, but when I used to work in the industry as a service manager, one of the dealerships I worked at, which wasn't the brand that we're talking about now, really the owner of the business saw the PDI, the assembling the PDI, as a necessary evil, and wanted it done as quickly as possible to get the bike out the door because he'd promised it to the customer in like an hour's time or something stupid. Didn't give the techs time to do their job properly, and of course because of that, shortcuts were taken and things were missed, and problems occurred, all because the owner of the business didn't understand the legal requirements, and he legally had to give the technicians adequate time to perform their duties under PDI to a high standard, and that wasn't happening. It wasn't happening on a regular basis, which was really bad. But now that I'm in the position that I am, I'm the one that's overall responsible for all of the PDI stuff that goes on in New Zealand under a particular brand. And it's my job to make sure it's done as best of my abilities to a high standard. Obviously, I can't control stuff that I don't see on a daily basis, but the audits that I do tend to bring at least some things to light that I can address. So that's probably one of the most important parts of my role, and that aspect takes up a lot of my visit time, and I have to work through it as fast as I possibly can. One thing that I have done in the last few years, which really helps me, is that dealers, when they've completed the PDI, and only a PDI inspector, an authorized PDI inspector, can do that work, the check sheet, is scanned and uploaded into a Google folder for that particular dealership, which means that I can then drop in whenever I want 24/7 into my Google Drive and have a look at those sheets and run through and just check each one to make sure they're all signed correctly by the right people and things. And stuff isn't being missed, at least. So it looks like it's been done properly. And then when I do the visit, I can make sure it's been done properly and they've got all the right equipment. For example, calibrated torque wrenches. They've got to have a headlight beam setter or a light board that actually works as a light board for setting the headlight beam angle. And even a tire pressure, a good quality calibrated tire pressure gauge, because part of the PDI, especially on a motorcycle, is to set the tire pressures. They've got to be accurate. It's not quite so important in a car. It's a lot more important on a motorcycle. So those kind of things, I'll do a visible check of their equipment. I'll take photos, and again, all those photos, which are the equipment and the calibration certificates, go into that Google folder. And all those Google folders, there's 40 of them, one for each dealership, they're all visible and accessible by NZTA, which is the government body that's responsible for managing PDI in New Zealand. So at any time, they can go in and have a look as well. So we operate 100% transparently. And that I'm the only person in New Zealand to do that. All the other dealerships, the PDI check sheet is just put in a folder, buried somewhere, and then when NZTA go and do an audit, they've then got to dig them out, and they're not in order. They're not easy to find. Ours are, we've had a commendation on just how well organized it is. So a bit of a pat on the back for Andy getting that scheme off the ground. Ultimately, what I want to happen is when they do the warranty registration of the bike, that's done by a salesperson, at that time, they would then upload the PDI sheet, and it would be stored on an internal drive for the manufacturer, not on my drive. But this is the only way that I could do it. But there you go. You know, interesting stuff, what really goes on. So I don't just fix motorbikes. I do a lot more than that. Andy the Pie. God damn it. Right, swing at the pie. Turn your mouth into one boom. Right. Yes, I am getting hungry now, actually. So hopefully that's explained to you a bit more about pre-delivery inspection, which is a very, it's a hot cookie at the moment, is PDI. Because there's a lot of places not doing it properly. Obviously, other brands not doing it properly. Right. Here we go. It's still pretty damn hot, actually. We'll stick it on the bag, because it's about the only clean thing in the workshop. My apologies, we've gone grainy again. Boom. Hopefully it'll bounce back. Yes, bloody internet, honestly. All right, so before we start the pie, let's let it cool down for a minute. Let's do some more questions. So hopefully that I did ramble on a bit, but important information. Hang on. Roger Heaps. Hard to carry the Mrs. Mechanic approved purchases home on a plane. It is very hard indeed. With the Ute, much easier. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate that. And, you know, I can take my trailer if need be as well, which is a real bonus. Bonus sometimes and a problem other times, but often the trailer can be left at a dealership. You know, if it doesn't need to go all the way south, it can just be left somewhere at the northern part of the South Island, and I'll just pick it up on the way back. Dealers are usually very helpful with that kind of stuff. Mark E. Found Pie. Thank you, Mark. Jim Haynes. Does the brand we don't mention require torque wrench calibration intervals? Yes. I'm not aware of any vehicle manufacturer that does not require the torque wrenches to be calibrated when they're used for pre-delivery inspection. It's a no-brainer. Bolts have got to be at the right torque when you're assembling the vehicle, whether it's a truck, a car, a motorcycle, anything that goes on a public road, especially. I mean, it still really applies to ATVs and ROVs. You know, wheel nuts need to be torqued correctly. And if your torque wrench isn't calibrated, then you're not really torquing it correctly, are you? That's the sole purpose of a torque wrench, is to be accurate. Unfortunately, the New Zealand government have a different mind, and we have covered this before. And I had an email only last week. I queried it with them. You know, have you changed your mind yet? And they haven't. The New Zealand government, NZTA, are still of the opinion that as long as a torque wrench looks good and it doesn't have any visible damage, then it is suitable to be used for a pre-delivery inspection. Really? Really? I'll say it again, really? And I've written long emails about this to them on a number of occasions, and they still won't budge. And what that's done is it's caused misunderstanding in the industry. Some dealerships, again, not the brand we're talking about, but other brands, are now under the impression the torque wrenches don't need to be calibrated, but the manufacturer of the vehicle that they're PDIing do require it to be calibrated. So you've got this sort of discrepancy, this confusion going on in the industry. And unfortunately, because torque wrench calibration costs money, they will often use it as an excuse. Oh, we heard that they don't need to be calibrated anymore. That's why we've not done it. So it's like, oh, God, really? Okay, no problem. Why don't you just go out and buy some new ones? Because it's a fraction more money to buy new torque wrenches than get the old ones calibrated, especially when they're the smaller torque wrenches. Sure, the big ones need to be recalibrated, but the little 3/8 drive up to 80 Newton meters or whatever, that, you know, $100 buys you a good brand torque wrench of that scale for the same kind of money as getting the old one calibrated. So you just go and buy a new one, right? And then the old ones that are not calibrated have to be removed off the site. I could go on for hours about this, and I won't. Okay. So Jim, hopefully that answers your question. Lauren, being a mobile diesel tech, I relate to the travel, but I do it once on a daily basis to semi trucks. getting out and seeing the countryside in places you would never have thought to go. Yeah, and for me, when I'm doing field research, that's really the most interesting, where you go into a particular farm in a particular area to meet a particular customer that's having a particular issue with his vehicle. And you go down, so well, you know, in your mind, you think, well, is it an environmental problem? Is it a usage problem? Is it actually a manufacturing issue, a design issue on the vehicle? You know, what is it? What's caused this problem for this particular customer? And 99% of the time, it's either environmental or usage. It's not the vehicle. If it was the vehicle, surely you'd have more cases, you know. So then it's about customer education and that kind of thing, or modifying the vehicle in some way to try and mitigate the usage that the customer for some reason has to use it for. That's what he bought it for, and he has to use it for that particular application. Is it possible to do something to help reduce the possibility of failure? So you do what you can to help customers all the time, and protect the brand as well, by the way. Simon, spent some time in the early 2000s doing PDI on Chinese bikes. The amount of stuff wrong with them was unreal. Clamp bolts flushed on one side and wide open on the other. Pads missing, etc. I won't go anywhere near Chinese bikes anymore, to be honest. I did end up with a few to work on when I was working in Henderson in Auckland. You know, second-hand bikes that were coming in for servicing and stuff, Chinese scooters, and they were just a pain in the ass. Hard to get parts for, no wiring diagrams available, and in the end I said, nah, not interested. We're burning way too much time and effort on these particular bikes. We don't make any money out of them. It's just pulling down the workshop. We can't even charge out for all the hours that we're spending on them. So, you know what? You need to go somewhere else. And then a guy in the same township, Henderson, he set up on his own, and he specialized on Chinese bikes, and that was fine. So we just started sending them to him. You know, good job. Send them down there. Let him do them. And we were busy enough. We didn't need all that extra work, and it was just stress. You know. And even the parts guy was like, why are you asking me for these parts? You know I can't get them. So I hear you, Simon. I really do. That's exactly the problem. Lauren's Garage. In the dealership, the pencil pushers have no idea of what we as techs really need to do to properly get the vehicle set up correctly. That's exactly right. They don't. And, you know, the accountants want to minimize the amount of time that a tech spends on a vehicle PDIing it. They just want to get it out the door and then get on with the next one and then the next one. And it's got to be right. And I mean, a PDI, if it's a road-going bike especially, requires a road test. There was, at one point, my boss told me, no longer do you do road tests on road-going bikes. You assemble it, you PDI it, and then you put a warrant on it, and out the door it goes. I said, well, I have to test ride it. It's on the PDI sheet. It's part of the PDI. No, you haven't got time for that. And that was the last straw, to be fair, at that particular dealership. So if you're not allowing me to do my job as a PDI inspector, I can't work for you anymore. So I finished my employment there. You've got your, as a technician, you've got your own integrity to consider as well. You know, you don't want to become part of the problem. And if you're a good tech, there's plenty of other bike shops out there that will happily take you on with open arms, and you can discuss those kind of things during your interview and say, this is what has to happen. If you're going to employ me, this is what I expect. And get it put in your contract. Then they can't go back on it. So you're a very good point, Lauren. For Giants, Lauren Garage, we are in the same career. I also enjoy working on trucks. There you go. John Nuttall, do dealerships set the bike up for the rider, i.e. shock settings on the new bikes in New Zealand? Some do, mainly the motocross bikes. They do. Those that understand suspension with that kind of detail will. Road going bikes, not really. No, they go out the door in standard configuration, and then the owner of the bike if they want that service, they then go back to probably a suspension specialist and have it set up properly for them. I have come across in the past, dealers, well, in fact, not dealers, where a customer has then had the bike taken away, had the suspension set up for their rider weight and rider style, and then had problems, and then tried to claim warranty, be a warranty issue. And so, well, not really. The bike was set up great when it went out. You've added stuff. You've maybe had the front forks rebuilt with some different kind of shims in there, or whatever, different valving in it, and now you've got this problem. That's not a manufacturing issue. That's a modification that you've made issue. Same goes for ECU reprogramming. If you get it reflashed and you're changing the fueling and the ignition maps on the bike, and then your engine blows up, is that a manufacturing defect? It isn't. You've modified the ECU in a sense, and there is no warranty. That's it. Game over. You're on your own. Not interested. John Nuttall, hit the like button. Yes, please. Thank you, chaps. Cheers, John. Simon, so if you don't test ride, how can you tell if the head bearings are okay or not? Exactly. And there's many things that you're testing on a test ride. Pie. Right, here we go. It's cooled down enough. So this is, those that have just joined us, this is from the Wellbeing Cafe. It is a new pie that they've brought out called the Kiwi Big Breakfast. It's got bacon and sausage and other stuff. I forget. Other stuff in there. Breakfasty kind of stuff. So, quick check. Structure integrity. Lid looks great. The gluing around between the lid and the base is fantastic. And the base is rock solid. So, high hopes for this pie. We're going in. Breakfast. Here you go. That's not bad. Really taste that relish. That's pretty good. A little bit dry, but probably my own fault for leaving it so long. So we'll let them off on that. And quite hot. Oh, there you go. Still smoking, steaming. So, taste, stroke, flavour, contents. We'll have one more bite, and then we'll give it a figure. Because we are running over time to be fair. Oh, we're nearly there, aren't we? 1 hour 27. Speed it up, Andy. Okay. There you go. You can see all the meat and stuff. Bacon and sausage. I think there is ham in there, as well as bacon. It's like little cubes of meat. Ooh. Nice. Okay. Pretty good. Very breakfasty. And I do like an English cooked breakfast, so big fan. I'm going to give it an 8. I think the flavour's pretty damn good. Structure fully partners. We'll save that for a little bit later. Runnability check. Well, pretty obvious. It's not going to go anywhere. Absolutely rock solid. A very safe pie when stood talking to somebody having your breakfast. You know, definitely a one-handed pie. Not an issue there. It's a 10 out of 10 for that. Full marks. Meat quality. There's a good one. Okay, well, there's a little piece of meat. That tasted more like ham than bacon. Not crunchy at all, quite soggy. A lot of different flavours. It's good. Meat quality. I'm going to give it a 6 for now. That may well change. Okay. Now, this is the ratio between the contents of the pie and the amount of pastry. And the pastry is quite thick. We've got a lot of pastry down here and around there, and then the corners up here as well. The pastry is a little bit dry, That's probably because the pie's been reheated. It's not, you know, I bought this like 3 days ago, 4 days ago. It got put in the freezer and then it got thawed out last night and put in the pie warmer this morning. So it's basically been cooked twice, and that does dry the pastry out. So I've got to give them the benefit of the doubt on that. I will try one of these in real time at a petrol station probably on Monday when I go up to Auckland, and we'll see how much it changes. See the egg. Yum yum. This is alright actually. I can see why Mrs. Mechanic likes it a lot. So price to crust ratio. There is a lot of pastry. This pastry here is about 7 to 8 millimeters thick, which is a lot thicker than normal pies, to be fair. The base is pretty damn thick as well. It's about 5 mil base. So I'm going to give this, and it is only a standard size pie. It's not a gourmet pie. So it's only, I think, about 180 grams. Normally they're standard pies. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 for that. Okay, available to logistics. Well, it's available at all Wild Bean cafes, as far as I'm aware, but only for a limited time. Now, Wild Bean Cafe now does Uber Eats. Woohoo! So you can order these online in most areas, most towns of New Zealand. You could send an Uber driver to go and pick up your pie and bring it to your house. So therefore, you can order them online now, which is an improvement that you didn't used to be able to do that. So, for the vast majority of the population of New Zealand, you could order one of these online and it would arrive at your house, which means, and there's BP petrol stations in pretty much every town and city in New Zealand as well, and sometimes in between on the motorways. So I'm going to give them full marks, 10. 10 out of 10. About as good as you could get, to be fair. Of course, there are some people in New Zealand, especially the South Island, that wouldn't be able to take advantage of that. But I think in the big scheme of things, pretty damn good. Now, pastry taste rating. The pastry, as you can see, is pretty dry and crumbly. It is pretty much the standard Wild Bean Cafe pastry. It tastes the pastry. It's not gooey, that's for sure. This one, I try to ignore the dryness. I'm going to give it a 7. It could be better, to be fair. Still tasty when cold. I think it'd be alright. It'd be more like a quiche, wouldn't it, when it was cold? And you can eat quiche cold, so I think it would taste okay cold. I will give it an 8. Now, packaging design. Standard paper bag with some printing on, by the way. So it's nicely branded. They're very proud of their pies at Wild Bean Cafe. It's not plastic lined. It's the bag. It's just a normal paper bag, brown paper bag. So not a lot of thought gone into it, but it's pretty simple. I will give them, I think we usually give them about a 6 for that. Okay, recyclable score. Well, I know it's recyclable. It's a paper bag, but they don't tell us it's recyclable. And to be fair, the vast majority of these end up in the bin at the petrol station because most people eat them there and then. So they end up in landfill. But they've lost the point for not telling us it's recyclable or having a recyclable bin at the petrol station to put them in. So we will give them a 9, I think. Okay. Post heartburn factor. Well, let's leave that to the end. Stuffability score, not finished yet. Pie server attractiveness. I'd give her a 7, I think. Remembering the lady behind the counter. There we go. That was Simon's category, by the way. Okay, more pie. It's not bad. I'd have another one for sure. Okay, Structure Foley Partners. I think it's a lot more crumbly because it's so dry as the pastry. You always get a little bit of fallout. It's not horrendous. As regards nothing falling out of the pie that's of any real relevance, gravy, meat, cheese, relish, whatever, it's been really good. I'm going to give it a 9, I think, on that one. Some might argue I should give it a 10, but I think a 9's fair. But it definitely is a one-handed pie. You don't need 2 hands to eat this pie, which is good, because it leaves your other hand for your coffee, right? Okay, we've got post-pie heartburn. No burps yet. Okay. The last bite. And then it's gone. I can't really differentiate between what's bacon and what's ham and what's sausage. They all seem to taste the same. Anyway. Okay. Stuffability score. Am I stuffed? Am I still hungry? No, I'm not. I was really hungry before I ate the pie. I'm actually not hungry at all at the moment. Am I stuffed? Have we gone the other way? Am I overstuffed? No, I'm not. That was perfect. I'm going to give it a 10. Post-pie heartburn. Well, at this point in time, nothing. There's nothing rumbling on. So, again, it gets a 10. I'm quite impressed by that, actually. So, let's do some arithmetic. I'll turn you around. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay, legs gone to sleep as you turn you down a bit. Ready? There you go. That was a Unimog gear change, by the way, because it has air shift. Okay, so that's going to be 17, 27, 33, 39, 49, 56, 64, 70, 79, 89, 99. Wow, 106. Holy crap. Let me know if my arithmetic is incorrect, but it looks pretty good to me. 106. Where's that going to end up? Let's go have a look on the board. 106. It's a pretty high score, isn't it? Oh, there you go. So 105 now. So it'll be in line with I Love Pies, Angus beef steak and rosemary. That was a nice pie, but not as available logistics-wise. So it's going to sit just there. I haven't got any more magnets yet, so I will have. There's going to be loads to go up. So it's pretty much near the top, isn't it? Though? So it'd be equal third. Wow, good job. Good choice, Wild Bean Cafe. And Wild Bean Cafe Gourmet Angus steak beef on black truffle, 104, very tasty. So Wild Bean Cafe are doing pretty damn well on their pies. Look, another one down here. Look, Wild Bean Cafe Gourmet Steak and Cheese, 103. Wild Bean Cafe Classic Steak, 102. Wild Bean Cafe Egg Benedict, 102. You know, pretty consistently high scores from Wild Bean Cafe. They should be a sponsor, shouldn't they? But they're not. Just to reiterate, they are not a sponsor. Right, turn you around, 3, 2, 1, boom. There we go. Apologies for the grainy picture again. I don't know what's going on with the internet today. Doesn't like being moved, does it? At all. For some reason, not level anymore. Bear with me. There we go. That's better. Okay, so 106. I need to take a photo of that because I'm taking pictures of this now just to store the information so I can make up these make up all the stickers to go on the doors, and then we'll probably run out of room. So it was 105, wasn't it? Not 106. 105, and post heart that was down to 9. Take another picture, Andy. Take another picture. I'll do that. Right, there we go. Boom. Sorted. Okay. Quick last run through the comments, and then we will have to call it a day because Andy's got lots of work to do. Oh, Lauren's Garage. In New Zealand, do you all do any quad bikes with an aftermarket snorkel intake for mud riding and deep water, or is that just an American thing? That's just an American thing. I haven't come across a snorkel kit for any type of ATV. Not saying that you can't get them, because you know a lot of the ATVs sold here are also sold in the States. But there isn't really that kind of demand. There isn't really that kind of usage of ATVs here in New Zealand like there is in the States. And I've seen the videos on Facebook and Instagram and stuff of these massively jacked up ATVs with huge tires on them, huge wheels, sort of basically swamp bogging. We don't really have that here. Lauren's Garage looks delicious. It was actually really nice. It was quite refreshingly different, and also in a good way, because normally I go for the gourmet steak and cheese, and that's my go-to pie, but that actually was really nice. I really enjoyed it. It tasted nice, tasted a lot better than, and we've had different breakfast pies in the past where it's just been almost like processed egg, some kind of weird bacony stuff in there, you know, egg and bacon, maybe a little bit of sausage, but they've not tasted anywhere near as nice. The relish, I think the relish made all the difference. The relish gave it such deep flavors. It was really good. Lauren's Garage, next one, try it with the salsa. I'll have to see if they've got that one. I've not seen the salsa one. John Nuttall, I'll tell my mates to look up Dave Moss. Yes, Dave Moss does suspension. I've met Dave. 2 clicks out video setup for your weight. The bike handles so much better when it's set up correctly. We did a Dave Moss suspension evening at Cycle Treads years ago. Or was it a Saturday afternoon? Maybe a Saturday afternoon, where people could go down and get the bike set up for free, you know, and he gave a little talk about why it was so important, things as well. This is a long time ago. Very helpful chap, very helpful indeed, and he's very good at what he does. So yes, that's definitely, I would definitely endorse that. Jim K, what's going on in the workshop, Andy? Well, Jim, very good segue. Good job, matey. So today, Jim, just for those that have just joined us, after the live stream, I'm back up on the Sideport roof. I got all the main timbers up yesterday, the battens, they're all done. There was 20 of those up there. 142 holes to drill and bolts and stuff. Not the easiest thing to do, because obviously it's quite high as the roof and you can't just use a ladder. I haven't got a ladder long enough. I have to use Trevor the tractor, you know, and so you're always moving Trevor around and popping up through the roof and, you know, through the beams, doing a bit of work and then moving again and doing some more. And it was very hot yesterday. It was incredibly hot in New Zealand. The sun was very strong. There was no clouds. It was just baking outside. So I was pretty knackered by the end of it. So once that's done, I then got the prototype #2 of the Andy Mechanic Special Tool for the 450cc ATV primary sheave that's in the CVT. That holding tool to assemble. These are some final drilling to do. Assemble it up and test it. Make sure everything lines up properly. Fingers crossed it will. I've then got some LED lights to fit to the number plate light area on the back of this bike, the Honda. And that's going back to Auckland tonight with Ben. He's going to deliver that for me. Top lad, thank you. And then I've also got Ben working on his patrol under the carport because he wanted a nice flat surface to work on it. He's replacing the bushes on the hockey springs, hockey sticks, front suspension. The bushings there have worn a little bit. Plus he wants to change the caster a little bit to try and improve handling. So he bought a kit to do that, like we did on the Jimny. He's bought a kit to install. He'll be waiting at the moment to use the press. He doesn't want to come in while I'm doing a live stream, so hence why I want to get this really finished and wrapped up pretty soon. And then it's a case of pack up the workshop, tidy up, and put everything in my ute that I need tomorrow morning to go up to, eventually up to Kaitaia. I've got dealer visits all next week. Oh, it'll burp. Should we mark it down? Don't know, might be cigarette related. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. And I'll be away all week. So, and then back in the workshop next weekend. And I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing next weekend. We'll have to wait and see. But Mrs. Mechanic might do some more filming. She's doing some more filming today, so she'll have another workshop diaries. She might have enough for 2. I don't know. We did quite a lot of filming yesterday, so she might break it into 2. We will see. Okay, where do we get to? Thank you for that, Jim. Simon, should try Uber Eats a pie one live stream. We're not going to get Uber Eats here. No, we're way too much in the countryside to get Uber Eats to this place. But that will be funny. You're right. If I was more urban located, then definitely would do that. Lauren's Garage. Best food critique ever, lol. Thank you very much. For Jane Governor. Andy, you can use masking tape. Yes, on the pie board. I have tried that, and for some reason it doesn't last very long. It seems to start to peel off. It's not adhering to the steel work very well. And I did clean it off first. So I will get some more magnets because I need the ability to be able to move them up and down and as the order changes. So when I'm in Auckland, maybe next week, I'll try. The problem is the shop that I used to use to make them has moved, and I don't know where they've gone. So I've got to track them down and go and see the lads. They always do me a good deal. So, and each one of them, when I first asked them for these magnets to cut them up, these strips, they said, "Oh, what are they for?" So I told them, and then each one of them gave me their favourite pie and where they buy it from. It was quite a good conversation, actually. We had a discussion around New Zealand pies for about 10 minutes. It was awesome. Okay, crew, we've reached the end of the comments. We've done the pie. We've done all the updates. You know exactly what's going on. Now all I need to do is do it, right? Thank you very much for joining. I will see you again on a live stream in the next couple of weeks, so 2 weeks from today. Until then, watch out for the next Workshop Diaries episode 2 that's going to hit the channel. And, well, let me know your feedback. If you're enjoying those Workshop Diary videos, please let me know because, you know, we're still on the fence. If it's not going to work, then we won't keep doing them. If it is going to work and you find them enjoyable, then please tell me. And that will no doubt swing our, you know, our judgment, and we'll keep them going. I think it's a great idea, but don't let me influence your decision. Please be genuine about your response. We've had a few some good feedback. I've had no bad feedback yet, so who knows? There could well be a future for the Workshop Diaries. Okay, crew. Well, until next time. Cheers. Over and out.